Okay. Well, welcome. Okay, so I was just talking to Bob. Bob sounds very low today, which is fine. I can understand him if I listen carefully and there's no other noise around me. So that's fine. As you can see, it's sunny here in Spain today, so that's fantastic. Warm, not too hot and not too cold. So that's going very well. And so how's the weather for you today, Bob?
Excellent. Like Spain. Today is 20 degrees.
20 degrees. You know, I don't even know what it is here. My
Sunny.
phone says 12. I don't know if that's true or not, but it's definitely warmer in the sun. That's one of the things that's the difference between here and the United States, is that there's a big difference between being in the sun and not. So I'm going to say that's 12 degrees is very low. Um,
12 degrees is very low.
Yeah, yeah, it is pretty low. So, what we're going to do today is, as Ken said, he's on his way, so we'll be waiting for Ken here. But meanwhile, what we're going to do is start talking about the future tenses. So, Bob, my first question for you is, how many future tenses are there in English? You can count, you can think about it, or you can just tell me a number.
I think 3.
You think 3?
Yeah.
Okay, well, we're going to be talking about will, be, going to, and the present continuous. So that's 3. You don't think there's any more? Or maybe sometimes it's not necessarily like the present continuous. It's not necessarily a future tense, but it can be used in the future tense. Do you want to raise that number by 1 or 2 or more or not?
1, 2.
Hmm.
I have my grammar books, but not here.
No cheating. Ken likes to cheat. We can say that since he's not here. Ken likes to look at things online. Yeah, I can hear him typing sometimes, so I know if he's looking something up. So I'm going to say it's higher than 3, only because we're focusing on 3 today. So give me a different number between 3 and 10, let's say.
3 and 10. Difficult question for me. I'm not good in grammar.
That's okay. We have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 will not include 10. So choose a number between 3 and 10.
5.
5. Okay. You're getting warmer. So you went from 3 to 5, which is 2 up. Let's add 2 more. There's 7. And no response. Okay. 7. There are 7 future tenses in English, or 7 verb tenses in which we use in the future. Okay, so that's the first thing we're going to do today is take a look at those 7. Then we're going to focus on will, be, going to, in the present continuous. Are you surprised?
Yes.
You sound so enthusiastic today, Bob. Okay, well, let's go ahead and let me make sure that my presentation's where I need it to be, because yes, as you were entering, I was just adding something. Now I need to go back here and screen share.
Yes, I love screen.
Future tenses. All right, so you can see this now. So like I said, first we're just going to go over the first kind of 7 basic future tenses. And I think you might be a little surprised at what we find, because there's lower level grammar and higher level grammar. So first, I'm going to read this. There are many different ways to say something in the future. Well, there are actually 7 tenses we use to talk about the future. Can you guess all 7? So what I want you to do, Bob, sorry, you're the only one here today, as of now, is guess, okay? In the first 3, we'll do will, be going to, and the present continuous. Can you think of 2 more to fulfill the 5 that you thought there were? So any 2 other tenses?
Yes, will be going to present continuous. Example? No?
Well, not examples, not yet, but more verb tenses. We have 3 verb tenses here. You said, well, I told you there was more than 3, so I forced you to say more. Do you have any other idea what the other verb tenses could be?
Going to.
Oh, and you just got louder there, so now you're all good.
Okay.
No other idea about verb tenses?
Yes, I have the idea, but I'm very confused today about.
That's it's Monday.
It's Monday,
Okay.
yes.
Don't worry. I know Monday mornings are always terrible. At least it's Monday afternoon here. So let me help you.
Yes.
And we won't be able to see all of these because they're on a separate page, but we have the present simple. Bob, we can use the present simple in the future tense. I bet you didn't. The present continuous. Yep.
Present continuous.
Yep, that one's for
Going.
today.
Going to.
Yeah, exactly. Then we have will, the future simple, or the will. Be
Will.
going to. So these are the 3 that we're going to focus on today. But we have the future continuous, the future perfect simple, and the future perfect continuous. So these, like I said, we have lower level English, the present simple. Then I would say these are probably intermediate, the ones we're going to be looking at today. And then the last 3 here, future continuous, future perfect simple, and future perfect continuous, are more advanced. Okay.
Okay.
So now what we're going to do is look at some examples. So I have here some examples. So why don't you read the tense and the example, okay?
Okay. Present simple. I have a doctor's appointment tomorrow. Present continuous. I'm going to the park later. Future simple. I will have a test next week.
Perfect. So first I want to focus on just these 3, okay? Kind of the more basic ones. These are the first probably basic things we learn. I mean, whenever you learn a foreign language, you're probably going to use the present simple. Why? Because it's the most basic.
Yes.
Then what I normally teach is the present continuous, because then you can really say, well, I'm doing this, or, you know, I am doing this. So
Yes.
when we learn the past simple and the past continuous, life gets a little easier, because as long as you understand when we use and how we use these 2 verb tenses, life is pretty easy. Okay?
Okay.
After that, it depends. We can either go to the present perfect, or we might just go to the future simple. That way, we have our basics. We have a past, a present, and a future. So again, these are kind of more the more basic ones. Now, if I say I have a doctor's appointment and I eliminate the word tomorrow, it's just the present simple, but maybe we're talking about now. I don't know, actually, because there's no time clause. With that one word, long word, tomorrow, I'm saying when, and that's saying, oh, tomorrow, well, that's the future. That's not now.
Yes.
Okay. If I wanted to say now, I could, but then we're using it in the present tense. So just by saying tomorrow, it changes. Okay. So it's very simple. And that happens with the present continuous as well. If I say I'm going to the park, it sounds like I'm literally going to the park now in this exact moment. However, if I add the time clause later at 4 o'clock, tomorrow, tomorrow morning, tomorrow afternoon, etc. That one little time clause or phrase, changes the whole context from being in the present moment to the future.
Yes.
Good. Okay, so that makes sense for now, right? And then we have our will. Now, will is pretty future. I mean, there's really no, that's a, I'm not lying when I say this. It's a future action at some point. Now, it could be more of an immediate action. Kind of a present tense is when I open the refrigerator. Oh, we don't have any cheese. I'll go get some. It's an immediate decision. Even though you're saying I'll go get some, it's now, but I will do it in 2 seconds, which is still in the future if you think about it. So, I mean, will is used in many different ways too. But for example, we have I will have a test next week. I know it's going to happen. Okay.
Okay.
Any questions so far?
No. Clear.
Perfect.
Clear.
So let's go down and I'll have you read the next two, okay?
To read?
Yes, please.
Yes. Be going to. I'm going to go to China next month. Future continues. He will be performing at the concert tonight.
Okay. So very good. So now we're really into the future tenses. You know, the present simple and present continuous are a little bit of present and future. These are true, future tenses. So be going to is what we call this verb tense, or some people just say the going to, but the verb to be is super important. And in this, I am going to go to China next month. Again, when we say when we're going, it indicates the future. You can say I'm going to go to China tomorrow, this afternoon, and it's still future. Anything that will happen in the next 2 seconds is future. So you do need to have a time clause here to specify when exactly. If you just say, "Oh, I'm going to Paris next year," it's general. Okay, it doesn't have to be specific, but it can be. And then with the future continuous, he will be performing at the concert tonight. What do you understand from this? Have you seen this grammar tense before, Bob?
Yes.
Okay, and what do you understand about it?
I understand he will be performing the concert, yes, tonight. This is future continuous for today, tonight, but he said about future. He will be performing at the concert tonight.
Yeah. So when we use any continuous tense, the continuous is we're referring to the action of what's happening. Okay. And so his performing is the most important part here. Now, in any continuous tense, what are the most important parts of the actual structure?
Performing.
Okay, well, with performing, we have the ing, but it's also important to have the verb to be. So with any continuous, we will have the verb to be plus a verb plus ing. Okay, those are the three most important parts of this tense. In any, there's a present continuous, a past continuous, and future continuous. They all have these parts, but we have to change them a little depending on which tense it actually is. So here again, the future continuous is our future part of this tense is the will. W-I-L-L, the will.
Yes, will.
Then we have the verb to be because we need it. We always need the verb to be in a continuous tense. Do you know why the verb to be is in the infinitive form and it's not conjugated?
Why?
Difficult question.
No.
Okay, perfect. Well, this is because the word will is technically a modal verb, okay? After any modal verb, we need to use the infinitive. I might go. You should study, okay? I can swim. So all of these are infinitive. So that's why the verb to be is in the infinitive form and not conjugated. Technically, I suppose you could say it's conjugated because it's conjugated for the structure, the will. But I mean, in real life, be is also the infinitive. And so we just say the base form of the verb.
Yes, understand.
Perfect. Then after that, we use the next verb, the main verb of the sentence, perform, and we add the ing. And of course, depending on the actual verb, maybe there's an e at the end that we take off, or maybe we have to make a small change, but that's basically it. Okay. So what they're referring to is the action of this person performing tonight at the concert. All right. So we'll talk about that more in a little bit, I think. Actually not, because after this we focus on the 3 tenses. So this could be a different day. We can do upper level future tenses. And actually, I should put that into my schedule right now. So the other 2 here we have, why don't you read those? And I literally am going to put this into my schedule for the future. Okay?
Okay. Future perfect simple. She will have been at med school for 3 years in May. This is medical school. What is
Yes.
med school?
Med school is medical school, yes.
Medical school, yes. Okay, one more time. She will have been at medical school for 3 years in May. Understand? Will have been. This is future and perfect tense. Yes, perfect simple. And next is future perfect continuous. By the time he finishes college, he will have been studying for total of 20 years. This is very complicated. Will have been studying. Yes, I never learned this tense.
Okay. Well, again, we'll kind of look at this a little bit more in detail. Let's first talk about the future perfect simple, okay? So, she will have been at med school for 3 years in May. So we're talking about a specific point in the future because it's April now, and May is in the future. And we're saying by May or in the month of May at some point, she will have studied at the school. Okay. And so that's important because we're talking about a future action that hasn't been completed yet, but at a certain time in the future, it will be completed.
Yes.
So many words to explain this because it is complicated, as you said, and this is the real advanced part. So that's great. Do you have any questions? You said you understood this one. So if you want, we can go to the second one.
Yes, understand.
Okay, perfect.
Let's go.
So the future perfect continuous. So basically, as we're saying, in this first one, at some point in the future, this will happen, and that's it. And so basically, this is the same idea, but the only difference is with the continuous tenses. Not only do we have the verb to be plus the main verb plus ing, we also have this idea of that the action is going to continue to happen. It's going to be, as I say, progressive. It's going to be in progress at that moment. So by the time he finishes college, he will have been studying for a total of 20 years. So we don't know when. We're not saying exactly what time or day or date or anything like that, but we're just saying by the time he finishes college. So maybe it's this year, maybe it's in 2 years, maybe it's in 20, well, not 20 years, but 10 years.
Yes.
Okay, so in the future, at some point, he will have been studying, because we're always learning too, if you think about it, every day. You know, we learn to maybe bring a jacket with us when it's cold in the morning and, well, warm in the morning and cold at night or something. Or you learn to not drink too many beers at the same time. You know, we learn constantly about things. And so that's why we're also using this in the continuous tense, because this person will probably never really stop learning or discovering something new about his job or schooling or, you know, something like that. So by the time he finishes college, let's say in 2020, okay, in 2 years. In 2 years, he will have been studying for a total of 20 years. All right, so maybe he started in the year 2000, took him 20 years to finish, and he will have been studying. Does this make sense, or is there something that is not clear still?
Yes, all is clear.
Okay, no, that's fine. And sometimes you understand it, but you're just not really able to, you know, produce a sentence like this. And that's fine. That's fine. I think that basically everyone is able to understand more than they actually are able to speak. So that's fine. As long as you understand more or less, that's what's important to me. Okay? So wonderful. So moving on here, down to this next part, it says, so looking at these 3 specific sentences, let's try and understand the differences. Okay?
Okay.
Good. Well, do you want to read it says present continuous, so that's the tense we're going to focus on first. The example, and then also the meaning. So could you read all of this, please?
Okay. Present continuous. I'm going to the park later. This tense is used for future arrangements or plans that you have already thought about. In this case, you want to go to the park for a reason and have decided it would be a good idea to go today. Maybe you are meeting friends or just want to see the sunset.
Okay, exactly. So now process this information, look at it again if needed, and let's talk about it. Okay, Bob?
Okay. To resume this text.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
To summarize, yes.
Summarize, okay. I'm going to the park later, yes. In this case, you want to go to the park for a reason and have decided we go to the this is a mix of present and future. Future arrangements is going, but future is later.
Mm-hmm.
Going to the park later. But he going. That means now in this moment. He going to the park.
Well, I'm just going to add here that because I'm saying later, all of this is going to happen later. Now I've decided, okay, and that's what it says, and have decided it would be a good idea to go today. So maybe earlier I thought, hey, a great idea would be to go to the park. Yes, I'm going to go later. And so, sure, this happened in the past, but I'm talking about the future. It's future arrangements or plans. So you have this idea in your head, I'm going to the park alone with friends, it doesn't matter. And so here where it says you might be meeting friends or just want to see the sunset is really your reason about going. Maybe it's just sunny and you want to get outside. Maybe you have a dog that you want to bring to the park. And so it doesn't really matter the reason, but just that you are going later. Okay, so basically the most important part here is that present continuous represents future arrangements or plans. Okay, and actually let's underline that so we can see the differences between the three tenses that we're going to focus on today. Okay?
Okay.
Any questions, any other questions about this?
No.
Moving on. Future simple. So please, again, go ahead and read, okay?
Okay. Future simple. I will have a test next week. This tense is used for intentions and facts or true information. Since you know that you are going to have a test next week, it's factual or real.
Okay. So very good reading here. So again, this is for intentions and facts or true information. I mean, true information, facts are basically the same thing. So that's fine. And intentions. Do you understand the word intention?
No.
Okay, perfect. So intention is basically something that you want to do, but it's not always sure that it's going to happen. So I say, oh, my intention is to clean the kitchen today. I'm not sure if I'm going to have time, but I'd like to. Okay. And so in this case, I will have a test next week. Your teacher already told you, said, hey, we're having a test next week. So be prepared. So study.
Yes.
So basically, it's a fact. You know, it's something that's done. It's set. It's a plan. But it's not that you did it. It's just in the future. It's going to happen. It's true information. Yes, you will have an exam if you want it or not. Okay, it's not something that you planned on, which is a little bit different, and that's kind of part of the difference for this. Okay, so if I were to say I'm going to plan a test for next week, that's a future arrangement. I'm going to start talking about, hey, okay, so if we do the test on Wednesday, okay, Monday and Tuesday we have to do this. Okay, great, that'll work out perfect. So there is a difference maybe between who's thinking about it and who actually it affects. Okay, so this would affect the student. If it were in the be going to tense, it would affect the teacher. Okay, does that make sense, Bob, or was that really confusing?
Oh, yes, okay. Only the last three words is factual or real.
Well, this just means that it's 100% true. I mean, there's just different words, factual or real. If we look up synonyms, I'm hoping you can see this: truthful, accurate, realistic, honest, true life, genuine, real, actual. So that's factual, okay?
Okay.
Factual comes from facts, and then real is it's a real situation. It's going to happen, okay?
Okay, thank you, Becky.
No problem. So, moving on to our last part here, and of course, this is on the other page, which I'm not a fan of. But let me just move all of this down, and life will be easier for both of us. Okay, perfect. So now with this, why don't you go ahead and read these, okay?
Okay. Be going to. I'm going to go to China next month. The be going to tense is used for intentions, and intention is something that you have already thought about and you want to do, but maybe it's not a definite plan yet.
Exactly. All right, so now things get a little bit more confusing, right?
Yes.
Okay, so when you see this sentence, what do you feel? I mean, what does it tell you? Is it just very basic, or, do you have any questions?
Not basic. Basic is I'm going to try next month, but I'm going to go. I'm going to go. This is I'm going to. This is verb of the future, and to go. I'm going to go. But this is 100%. This is definite plan. Yes, definite plan. I'm going to go. He decided going to go to China next month.
Good.
Yes.
So basically, as you said, it's not exactly sure it's going to happen, but it's really what she wants. I'm going to go to China next month, basically, or whatever. It's that you really, 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 really want to, and you're very determined to do so. And maybe you will, but there is a percentage that you might not. And now, do you have any questions?
Maybe I'm going to go to China next month, but if I get a visa, if I not get a visa for China, I try to go to China, but I can't. Approximately, this is means for this. I'm going to go.
Right. And I understand that too, like that. So if you don't get a visa, you can't go, but I'm going to. And so honestly, for me, the difference between a be going to and I was going to try to move that while looking through the hangout, which doesn't work. So the be going to and the present continuous, really for me, there's no difference. And I think I spoke about this the other day. There's really no difference. And for me, even future arrangements or plans in the future is the same as this. This is a couple websites, I always research to look at things more, a little more intensely so I can really get down to the bottom of this. And I don't want to say I disagree, but I think that be going to and the present continuous, really, there's no difference. And so technically when I'm in a class or something, I'll tell someone, oh, you can, say the one that sounds best to you, because we really don't think about why we're using which verb tense. We just say it, and we say it naturally. So that's the only thing I have to say about this. So maybe you don't know if you're going to China because there are some factors that might not happen, but it's what you want to do. Okay.
Okay.
Questions?
Not questions.
Okay.
Only one simple sentence. I'm going to go to next lesson for your class in Teger. This is on the Wednesday.
Yes,
after tomorrow. And I'm so sorry. I'm only one student today.
No, I think it's great. It's good for you. You get a lot of reading practice, and it's a good thing your microphone and everything works today.
No, I like more students in the classroom because this is easy for me. Sometimes I listen what saying the Ken or Marco, Italian people or in Turkey. But now I must everything to know.
Yes. Well, I mean, it is good for, it's good for everything. I'm just glad that you came today, because if not, then I would have to do everything on my own. And it's really important for others to read and, to listen to the pronunciation and listen to different accents too, because, I don't remember the numbers, but as a native, I am definitely outnumbered, which means there are more how do you say this? Second language English speakers, people who speak people who speak English as a second language. There are more of those than there are natives. And so for people to listen to your accent is it's great for them. And Ken's here every class, so I don't know where he is.
I'm good in the reading and the listening. I understand. because I need the lessons of the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
My conversation, especially in the grammar, is not good, but because I speak with not too much English people. This is Philippines, this is from India, this is from Ukraine, and the grammar is much bad, much worse than me.
Well, and that's what happens. And, you know, this just goes back to the main point of speaking a second language is to be able to communicate. And I can understand you perfectly, and you can understand me. And that's the most important thing. So I think you're doing fantastic. Okay.
Okay.
So great job, Bob. Okay. So now let's look at some sentences and conjugate the verb for each tense in order to discuss the differences. So basically, as you can see here, we have the main sentence, and then we have the three verb tenses that we are talking about today. Oh, Ken can't connect to the Wi-Fi. Poor guy, no worries.
She will sing in a choir next year.
Yes, so she will sing in a choir next year. She is going to sing in a choir next year. She is singing in a choir next year. Is there one that sounds the best to you?
Will sing.
She will sing. Now, why does that sound the best?
Maybe not. Maybe she is going to sing. Yes.
Okay, well, let's look at the definitions here. So, intentions, facts, or true information. So, if she is, on the list for the choir next year, sure, will sing sounds great. She is going to sing in a choir next year.
Yes, because
go back up
it
here.
is a long time. Next year.
Well, intentions. She wants to. Maybe she's not sure. She really, really, really wants to, but it just depends. She is going to sing. To me, it sounds like it's true that, she's going to, so it's a future action, so that's fine. And with is singing, if you remember, let me go up here, present continuous, future arrangements or plans. So again, the same thing.
Yes,
the present continuous.
Future arrangements.
Exactly. So all of these have their own kind of specific meaning. Now, again, for me personally, is going to sing and is singing is the same. There's really no difference for me. The only thing I'm going to say about that is that is going to, the be going to verb tense, basically always sounds better.
Yes, sounds better. Is going to sing.
And we always use the is going to in a verb, but it depends on the next verb, because as we have here in this, I am going to go to China next month. We have two goes very close to each other. Now, it might sound incorrect, but actually these word twos, are different. So I'm going to go. This is I'm going. So it's kind of, if you think about it in parts, it's the present continuous here. And then because that's conjugated, we need the infinitive after. So that's where we're using to go.
Yes.
But we're also using to China because we always go somewhere with to. To in this case is a preposition and it represents movement.
Okay.
Okay. So this is the difference. It's not two. No. It's different. Okay.
Okay.
So, very good. I just wanted to point that out. In this case, she is going to sing in a choir. We sing in a choir, for example. Okay.
Okay.
So let's take a look at this next sentence here, and we can do the same thing. Okay. So we have Harry will marry and we have get married. Now I have these two different things because we have the verb to marry, to marry or to get married. Now, what's the difference? Really nothing. The structure difference is to marry is the verb, to get is the verb, and married in this case then I believe would be an adjective.
Yes.
So we have to get plus an adjective that happens quite a bit in the English language, and so it can be quite confusing. So that's why I have the different examples, okay? So like I said, basically the same thing, but just said a little differently. So we'll put a space in between there. So again, Harry will marry or will get married. I did this as looking at the verbs here, but it's not very clear. So will get married. Harry is going to marry, or Harry is going to, get married. Harry is marrying, or Harry is getting married. So first, which side sounds better? The will marry, or just the verb marry, or get married? What sounds better to you?
I usually learn in the school, and we usually said get married or getting married. Is okay.
Perfect. So out of those three options with get married, which is perfectly fine, which one sounds best?
Is getting married.
Harry is getting married in 2020. So you've chosen the present continuous.
Yes, present continuous, yes.
Okay.
Because he decided to marry it, and only to take performance of the wedding party married, because I think this is a getting married.
Okay. Well, I agree with you. I think Harry is getting married in 2020. I think it makes sense. It sounds good. Harry will get married is a little bit more permanent, maybe a little more 100% sure that he's going to do this. And
Yes.
Harry's going to get married. We can just say, well, it sounds like he's going to get married. Maybe he will, maybe he won't. But that's the plan. So like I said, the last two sound very similar. But I think in this case, the is getting married sounds a little better because it's less words. We don't need is going to get married when we can say is getting married.
Yes.
Okay. So again, in English, we do try and say the same idea, the same thing with less words. And I think this is the case. Just because with the last example I said is going to always sounds better, but I try not to say always. So let's take a look at this next one here. So you have Jenny said she Mexico next summer. So something with go. And again, we have will, we have the verb go on this side alone, or want to go on the other side. So it kind of is a little different here. So what do you think? Take a look at these potential answers.
Yes, I think I know what is this. This is Jenny said she is wanting to go Mexico next summer. Or Jenny said she is going to go Mexico next summer.
Okay. Well, first I'm going to say is wanting to go, which this one. Is wanting to go and is wanting to go is oh wait, did I do this? Oh, wait. Is going present continuous. That's fine. Is wanting to go. Okay. I was thinking I maybe did something incorrectly here, but is going to go is the verb to be. I'm sorry, be going to. Whoops. Be is going to want. No, I did this wrong. Is going to Oops.
Want. Going to want.
To go. Okay, is going to want to go. Okay, so now I'm going to eliminate this one first, is wanting to go. Because want, as it's disagreeing with me here, want is normally used as a non-action verb. It's not really an action if you want to do something. Okay, and so this is called a state verb, a stative verb, or I think that's it. There's probably one more word. But anyway, action or non-action. This is a non-action verb. So we can't use non-action verbs in the present continuous. So this one basically is eliminated. We don't like this one. See ya. So now we have Jenny said she wants to go or is going to want to go. Now you can say is going to want to go, but I don't think for this context it's necessarily appropriate. So I would say Jenny said she wants to go. Now, this depends, too, because this grammar, this sentence, is reported speech. So, direct and indirect, okay? This is indirect or reported speech. Normally, when we say something, the verb goes into the past tense. We're not using the past tense here, and that's okay. Because when you learn advanced level reported speech, you learn that you can repeat the grammar in the same tense as the person who spoke it, if that's not confusing. And so basically what happens is we use the same tense when it's something that happened recently. So maybe Jenny said, I want to go to Mexico 2 seconds ago. And then I'm like, oh, hey, Mom, Jenny said she wants to go to Mexico next summer. So you can do this. This is okay. All right. I would say wants to go or wanted if you want to change the verb tense. That's fine. Is going sounds like she's literally going 100% sure, or will go is 100% sure. Is going to go is she's planning on going. So there's a lot of different things here that we could say.
I agree, Becky, with you.
Thank you.
Jenny said she wants to go to Mexico next summer. Yes.
Also, even just this is Jenny said is going to want to go next. You can say this. Also, someone else could say, yeah, Jenny is going to want to go to Mexico next summer. Want to go to Mexico next summer. Because maybe her friend is going this year. They're going to talk about it when her friend is back. And Jenny's going to be like, I need to go to Mexico. So Jenny is going to want to go to Mexico next summer. So again, all of these except for this one here are acceptable. So, English is not easy. And I know that. So in order to teach you as best as possible, this is what we really need to do is look at all of these different options. There's 5 different options in this one sentence. 3 basically mean the same thing. And 1 really means something different, that is going to want to go. And wants to go again is also pretty similar to the other ones. And so it just depends,
Yes. Depends on current situation. In context, what is the context of the sentences?
Exactly.
This is only simple sentences, but in the text, in the story, what about the story? What about Mexico? Where I know. Depends on the situation.
It does. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop screen sharing because we're coming to the end of the class. It's after 2 o'clock anyway, and Thomas would be like, no, it's after 2 o'clock, stop. So the only thing I wanted to add there too is that a lot of people ask me, what are the most common verb tenses? And I'm like, what are you going to say? Who are you going to say it to? So it really depends. I mean, like I said, the basics of English is the present simple. If you can learn that first, go from there, and then little by little, add the other verb tenses, but only go to the next verb tense when you've learned one and you know it well. Otherwise, you'll get confused. So it's quite difficult, but you can do it. It just takes time. So that's basically it for today. Any questions or comments, Bob?
Oh, not now. What about your private class, Becky?
My private class.
Yes, you have private class.
Well, I can discuss that with you in a second. Let's finish the video portion. Next class, we're going to be working on homophones. So we did this back, I want to say October. We started something about homophones. It's about words, I believe, that are spelled differently, sound the same, and have different meanings. So welcome to English and its complicated, topics. So as far as the video, we're finished. So I'm going to say goodbye to everybody there, and Bob will have a conversation with you, okay?
Okay.